Well, guys, we're back again. I'm really, really excited. My name's Chris Ferguson. This is little man Drew Meyer, and we've got what I think will be an outstanding episode. And I can't be more fired up. I got on YouTube last night, kind of went around and looked at what this guy's done, and everything I've heard from friends of his, and then stories of his that I think you guys will really enjoy it. And I want to introduce David Hawk Wolinski.
Hey, boys. What's going on? Boys and girls? Yes.
Well, maybe. We're not sure yet. We haven't really looked at history.
We don't know if we got followers or not.
Yeah,
Dave.
well, you know what? Who cares?
We try to avoid the comment section.
That's right.
But I guess David, let's call you. Let's call you Hawk.
Hawk. Yeah.
Let's go straight.
Only
Hawk.
bill collectors call me.
I really
Okay,
thought
Hawk.
that was your name, Hawk.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So Hawk, I guess you came to bluegrass 8 or 10 years ago.
Something like that. Yeah. Chris Lancaster sponsored me, and Roy Moriarty, and about that. I was a member at Governor's Club, Golf Club of Tennessee, and Old Natchez as well.
Right.
At the same time, and then I when I moved up here, I quit Governor's and Natchez and kept the Golf Club of Tennessee because it's so great. Even though I only played like once a year, and then I ended up there. And I ended up quitting that too, which was a mistake. I should have just stayed forever.
Should have stayed.
Even if I play once every 5 years, because it's that good.
Yeah, and it's definitely a nice place, but you've definitely made an impact on a lot of people at bluegrass.
Oh well, that's nice.
And have a lot of friends, and like I said, I'm fired up to hear your story and kind of your background, and then like I said, I can't sing, I can't play an instrument, but I know as much music as anybody, and I'm fired up.
Well,
about
music
it.
is the universal language, right? You know what I mean? There's a lot about music that people don't really know. I mean, like for example, Quincy Jones once told me, music. Well, this is back in the day, right? Music is the only product in the world that's consumed before it's purchased. If you think about that, how good does it have to be? You're getting it for free on the radio, and yet you got to have your own copy of it.
Yeah,
It ain't like that for movies. You watch a movie on television, you're going to go out and buy a DVD. I doubt it.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
But you're gonna hit rewind, aren't you?
Yeah, with the music, so there's something about music. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff about music that people don't know. That's the secrets of of what where it came from, why it is the way it is, and there's a lot of stuff like that. That's the cool shit.
Well, let's hear. I mean, wherever you want us to kick off.
No,
where would you like to start? Like,
No,
let's like how'd you get into music? Like,
it's funny. Like when I was very young, my parents had a piano and they wanted me to learn how to play piano, right? And so they got me piano lessons, right? And then this woman came over every day or once a week, and she was a witch. She would hit my hands if I wouldn't do stuff right, and it was like, after about a couple of lessons, I was hiding from the lessons. I just wouldn't go. I'd hide in the yard or something, and she told my parents, and my parents, and I told them, what she was doing, and then they fired her, of course, and they never said anything to me at all. They said, okay, no problem. You don't have to play. Piano stayed there. And about a year later, I just sat down on the piano and I started to noodle around, and they never said anything to me. They never said, oh, you want more lessons or anything. They just let me go. And that's how and then I just, kind of learned by myself and stuff like that.
well, that's pretty incredible. My mom never got me piano lessons. And but now I would love to be able to play an instrument.
Sure.
I mean
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's very, very gratifying to be able to play an instrument. Trust
and
me.
I saw you on one of your videos on there. I saw you were playing like a double organ.
Sure, of course.
And laying down the beach or whatever.
Sure.
And then so at what age was that, Hawk?
That was probably 12, 13. Something like that.
So how do you go about learning the piano?
Well, you just sit on it, like you have ears, and you.
Well, I do.
You have but I'm saying
I couldn't do that.
No,
but
see, that's the thing.
I'm not sure. I get told I don't have ears.
That's the thing. It's it's perseverance. It's persistence. It's curiosity. You know, people always say to me, "Oh, well, you have talent." You know what I mean? No. The talent I have is hard work. You know what I mean? I was in every band I ever was in. Pretty much, I was the worst player, and then I outworked everybody, and I became the best player. That's how it worked. It's like I love to play with people that were better than me because I'd learn from them, and I would see how complacent they were because they knew everything already. It's like, well, I don't have to practice this shit. I got it already. You know what I mean? Hey.
Yeah.
And then I would go, well, I have to, and then and then I'd learn something else, and then pretty soon, like they're asking me, what are you doing there? You know what I mean? And so that's and so it's the gift of perseverance. It's the gift of desire. You know what I mean? Like I'll outwork you at this. Okay, if you're not willing to do that, well then you can't. You're never going to get good. But I guarantee you, if you put your mind to it, maybe we're too old for that. But if you were a kid and you put your mind to it, I guarantee you, you'll learn it. You'll learn it and you'll get good at it. If you really like it, you got to like it. It can't be bullshit.
Right. So that's age 12,
Yeah.
and so how's that kind of slowly evolved, because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that slowly evolved into me moving to the suburbs of Chicago, and then I was in like 7th and 8th grade, and then nothing happened then, and then I moved. Then I went to high school in Villa Park, Illinois, at Willowbrook, and there was a guy that I went to school with. His name was Aldi Carlo, and he's tremendous talent. Just a savant, my age. And he said, "Hey, I'm putting together a band," because he heard that I could play a little bit. You know what I mean? He said, "You want to be the keyboard player?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what to, I don't know how to do that." You know what I mean? He goes, "I'll show." And he could play piano too. But his main axe was a guitar. He's a fucking awesome guitar player. And great singer, good-looking guy. And so he showed me some stuff. He showed me the blues, right? Which I realized at that point, like, that's the root of all music. The blues is it. The blues is where all popular music and jazz starts, right there. And so he taught me that, and we formed a band called the Nomads. And we had, myself, and we had his cousin, John Carcello, playing rhythm guitar. We had this Mexican bass player, his name was John Tijerina. And we had a drummer named Danny Lesh, who was a state champion gymnastics guy. And we played, and we bought plaid tuxedos, and, and we played these gigs. And the thing was that I realized was you could get girls doing this, and that was all I needed. That was like, okay, I didn't even money. We're getting some money. I didn't give a shit, money. Like I never knew you could have a career with this, or it was just, I just knew that the girls were all up there ogling us, and I'm going, but that's good. This is a good thing.
I like band now.
I like band.
I like band.
And that's that.
So that's
the start.
Through the high school.
Yeah. It was
kind of
and
your
we were really popular, right? I gotta turn this off. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
You might use that for a theme song.
So,
That's
so
copyrighted.
we would
Have to give us permission.
right. We would play these gigs. You know what I mean? And the interesting thing about this whole thing is that everybody in the band was Italian, except the Mexican guy, except me, right? And they were Italian. Their parents were, or their relatives were mob guys. I mean, we're like, Al's uncle, Anthony Ross, was like the banker for the mob. The banker for Sam Giancana, and these guys, and for nationwide.
Waste management.
Waste management, right? Yeah. And so these guys were, and so we had a lot of fans, built-in fans. You know what I mean? All these guys, all of these Italian guys and their girlfriends, and they'd all come around. You know what I mean? And they'd come to all our gigs, and we got popular instantaneously, right? Because of Al and John Carcello, right? His cousin. And then, and it built into something, and it never really went anywhere. And then I got kind of tired of it. It was a little bit, because we were doing covers, We're doing.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it all covers?
It
then?
was pretty much all covers at that time, you know. And then another band asked me to join them, but they wanted me to be the lead singer and harmonica player, and even though I was a keyboard player, so I said I could do that, and then I learned how to play harmonica, and I was the lead singer, but they were doing Rolling Stone stuff, which was okay with me because it was covers. But it was obscure covers, it wasn't like hit records. It was obscure things on Rolling Stone records and the Kinks, you know what I mean? And
Right.
And then and then we and then I went from there, and then from there, there was a very, very huge band in America called the Shadows of Night. They had a song called Gloria, Gloria, Gloria. Remember that? They were huge. I mean, like #1 record all over the United States, just incredible. And
Is that Colin Gloria? Is that
no.
different one? So I'm just going. Well, you're still talking about. I'm going to look at what year that came out.
Yeah,
just kind of give us a
Shadows of Night.
timeline.
That was 1969, 67, 66, something in that area. But they were massive. I mean, all around the United States, big, and they saw us at this place called. They saw the lead singer Jim Sands saw us at this club called the Cellar, which was a hugely popular club in the suburbs of Chicago. The Stones played there, the Kinks played there. I mean, like Clapton played there,
Oh, wow.
like the Who played there, like everybody played there, and they saw us there, and on an off night. And Jimmy Sands came up to me and said, he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "You used to play keyboards." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, Now you're playing harmonica." And he goes, "Can you play bass?" And I said, and I never touched the bass. And I said, "Sure." He goes, "We're looking for a bass player because we fired Warren Rogers." And he said, "Look, here's the record. Right, the album, their first album. Learn the tunes. Come over and and if you got the tunes, you got the gig." So I went to my mother and said, "We got. I'm living at home. You got to buy me a bass." And so we go to Sears Roebuck, and we bought a Silvertone bass, like for $50 or $60, right, and a little amp. And I took the record and I just I learned all the tunes. And I went there
Just by listening.
Yeah, and I got the gig. I never touched the bass in my life.
Wow.
And I learned all the tunes. And so I became a bass player. So, and that was an experience because these guys were, you're talking about getting chicks. Oh. This was
So
a whole,
all
it's a
yours,
whole
all
other
yours is
world.
about getting girls.
Oh yeah, at that point. This is, and I had a chance to join the Buckinghams, if you ever heard of them. Kind of a drag. They were huge. And I didn't like their outfits. They were big. They were as big as the Shadows, but the Shadows were like the Stones. like fucking fist fighting sons of bitch. I mean, they'll you call them hippie, they'll kick your ass. You know what I mean? They were all bodybuilders. And, you know what I mean? Like it's like nah.
They were in for the same reason you were.
Yeah. This was a motley crew. Okay, and we traveled the United States, and it was like an adventure, and that fizzled out. And
I looked it up. Said 1966. I
there
think
it
it
is.
said.
Yeah, that was huge record, massive. Yeah, so
When you were how old? When you were
19, 18, something like that, 17, 18.
you went all around the country.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Picked up a bass.
Picked up a bass and
Sears
learned how to
Roebuck,
play that some
learned
bitch
it.
in a week. Absolute fact.
So all these bass players, they think they're really good, right?
No, bass is a difficult instrument. I'm just one of these guys who picks that shit up. You know what I mean? I love it. You know what I mean? I'm not daunted by anything like that. That doesn't stop me from doing anything.
Driven by music.
Yeah, I loved it. You know
And
what
the
I mean?
passion,
I loved
yeah.
blues. I didn't like. It's funny. It's like people liked Elvis and shit like that, and like the Beatles. The Beatles were okay. I was a blues guy, jazz guy. You know what I mean? I like B.B. King and shit. You know what I mean? And I'd listen to like Frank Sinatra, jazz and blues, and Dean Martin, and people like that. You know what I mean? I hated Elvis. It took me 30, 40 years to realize what a genius he really was. And I couldn't understand it at the time. And then once I became successful and saw how hard it was and saw what he did and realized, like I listened to his voice and I went, oh, Jesus, was I wrong about that motherfucker?
Yeah, well, you were in it for the chicks. And he was in it for another reason.
Yeah,
probably. And maybe the chicks too.
Yeah.
So
I think you got plenty of those.
yeah, he probably did.
He
So
probably did
so
okay.
from there, so now we're talking Hawk. You're getting probably early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s, and then the Shadows break up, or I left them or whatever. I don't even remember quite what happened. And then the drummer with the Shadows and I formed a band with the old guitar player from the Nomads, and it was called Bangor Flying Circus. We called it Bangor Flying Circus, and I played bass with my feet and my left hand on a Hammond organ. It was a trio, no bass player, just an organ, bass here. It was not popular at the time, but I wasn't the first guy to do it. A lot of jazz guys did it. Jimmy Smith was noted for doing Jack McDuff, Jimmy McGriff, Groove Holmes, Don Patterson, all these. It was something for me. It was like the Great Awakening. It's like that was like when I heard a B3 and I heard Jimmy Smith play it. I went, oh man, that is me. And I abandoned no more bass. Well, I did play bass for a while as well, but only on one song or something. But man, it was Hammond organ.
So this hand's playing more of the bass,
The bass parts, exactly, real bass parts.
and then you got a foot pedal.
Well, you got a foot pedal which complements it. So you use it when you have to change the sounds on the instrument. So you can't you can't just be playing this and then take your hand off here because there's no more bass.
But what I'm trying to get back, because what I watched last night, you had a full keyboard here.
But I wasn't.
Totally
I wasn't
different.
doing. Yeah.
Totally
We had a real bass player
Okay.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you didn't see. I don't think I have anything. Well, I do. No, I don't have anything on film with me playing.
Playing,
But I do have
that.
plenty of tapes and live.
So what was the name of that band again?
Bangor Flying Circus, and we. So this is so weird, right? So we put together the band, and it's really good. I mean, it's all original material, like no covers. Maybe we did a cover of I might have done one cover, but no covers. And the drummer the drummer was originally from the Shadows of Night. He was a really great artist. And he wanted to quit to just become an artist. He was also very religious. He didn't want to do any traveling, so he didn't want to do any the whole band thing. And this drummer named Mike Tegza, who was in a band called H.P. Lovecraft, who were huge at the time. They were managed by Bill Graham, Fillmore, Winterland, the famous impresario. And fucking Tegza left this hugely successful band to join us, and calls Bill Graham up and says, I'm leaving H.P. Lovecraft to join this band, Bangor Flying Circus. And, Bill Graham took notice of that. You know what I mean? Like, you're leaving money, a number one record, great songs, crazy. He left it. He came with us, and because of that, we went out to San Francisco, and we opened a show at Winterland for when everybody they burned their draft cards. When people, there was a thing where everybody burned their draft cards, and so Bill put on a benefit at Winterland, which held about 15,000 people, something like that, and it packed. And locked all the doors. People were taking acid. It was fucking like off the charts. Not me, but good God in heaven, it was so weird. There were 10 bands on the every gigantic band from San Francisco was on this thing, like Janis Joplin and fucking the Grateful Dead and everybody. And so the gig was. Because we were the the most unknown band, we would go on first. We'd open the whole thing.
Yeah, warm them up.
We'd warm them up. But guess what? I went out first before the band did and played solo piano for 20 minutes. Just fucking playing all kinds of wacky shit. And like all of these people, like, I had never seen a fucking mountain, never seen a fucking ocean. I was like, what the fuck?
And how many people were in there?
15,000 people.
15,000.
And right on top of you.
Right on top.
Right on top of you. Like,
And you didn't do any acid before you went out there.
no, Christ, no. No.
Did you have any of these Diet Millers, by chance?
No, there was nothing. No. It was
Full leaded Budweiser?
It was no. It scared me. It was scary.
Oh, you had to have
Very, very scary. Very scary experience because like this
I bet.
this was the big leagues.
Yeah.
He's
You know-
20 something years old, 21 years
Yeah,
old.
and these guys have been doing this for 10 years, 10 years. You know,
Yeah. I'd be thinking, don't fuck it up. God.
you know, and oh my god.
But even if you did, the people in the crowd probably wouldn't
no,
notice.
they wouldn't have known. But it was just
I
you know,
would.
but
They're all
everybody,
drunk anyway.
you know, there's all these
On acid.
these incredible musicians in the wings. It's a big stage.
Well,
They're
they would've known.
They're watching.
They would have known.
Oh fuck yeah, and I didn't fuck up, you know, and that was, then we made an album and it was not successful, and then
Sorry, Hulk.
we quit. That band broke up, and
We have,
I joined another band. We started another band called Madura. Now this band was the same organ trio again with Al on the guitar again, only a different drummer. This guy Ross Salamone. From Chicago, who was at the time, arguably, maybe the best drummer in the world. I mean, like, fucking chops beyond like, Buddy Rich chops. You know, like serious. You know, Art Blakey chops. Like the greatest jazz players in history. He just shredded them all. So we had this band, right, and he was really tight with this guy, Jimmy Guercio. Jimmy Guercio is the guy who did all the Chicago stuff, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Caribou Ranch, right? And he was really tight with Jimmy. Jimmy at the time was the most powerful record producer on earth, okay? I mean, like stupid power, right? Like controlled the world. So we went to Los Angeles, and Ross called Jimmy and said, "Look, we're playing at the Whiskey A Go Go. Come out and see us." You know what I mean? And so we went out. We went out there, and Jimmy came out and seen us, and he signed us right on the spot. And we made a record with him, and we moved to Caribou Ranch, and it was fucking
Madura.
Madura. Yeah. Now that was a crazy fucking. That was real. You know, that was at the Caribou Ranch. That's where Elton John recorded, where the Beach Boys recorded. Like, go look up Caribou Ranch and look up the people that recorded there. Like, the Stills, Mamas and Papas. I mean, like, you know, like Stephen Stills. I mean, like the list is endless.
And you're 25 years old.
Yeah, and
probably.
I'm up there, and my only means of transportation is a horse. I have no money, and I'm living in this fucking place. This house like on a ranch that was attached to Caribou called Forest Lakes, and the only way I could get to the studio was on this horse. I had to learn how to ride a fucking horse. And I was like, a horse? What are you out of your fucking mind? I mean, I'm from Chicago. The
should
fuck are
be
you talking
easy
about?
compared to
Give me a
just learning
goddamn
the bass in a week.
Yeah, well, let me tell you the story. Okay, so I think I'm pretty good. You know, this horse shit. This ain't so hard.
John Wayne.
This ain't so goddamn hard. You know what I mean? So okay, so there were a lot of wranglers on the ranch because it was kind of a semi-working ranch, and so he had horses up there and some cattle so they were breaking horses and stuff like that, right? So I was, and I got chaps on. Okay, you know what I mean? I got the fucking hair down to here. I look like Billy the Kid, for Christ's sake, I'm riding through this path and back back of that ranch. These paths were about this wide, maybe a little bit, maybe as wide as this room in some areas, but they were rocky, and they were boulder rocky. But it was a path, and you gotta, horse. You don't want to run through this. You're not running through this shit. You're dead. And so I get to this to this little clearing, and there's three of the Wranglers. You know what I mean? And this one guy is on this little quarter horse, like this. You know what I mean? And I go, that's a cool looking horse. I said, can I try that? And he goes, oh sure. And you know, I don't know if you know what a hackamore bit is. You know what a hackamore bit is? Well, a hackamore bit is where it doesn't go into the horse's tongue, so you have zero control over the horse, other than, you know, like in other words, when you put a horse, when they got the bit in the tongue, you pull back and they'll fucking stop because you're ripping their fucking tongue out. Do you understand? Hackamore bit is just around the muzzle. Okay, so I also got spurs on like a real idiot, cowboy boots, spurs. I'm like, hey. I get on the fucking horse, and I kick it, and the horse bolts.
Well, quarter horse is a sprinter, right?
The sprinter.
Yeah.
And he just got broken that day. So he was a wild horse.
Have a good time.
And that son of a bitch, now he's running me up against trees, under fucking branches. I am holding on to this son of a bitch for dear life. And I'm going, I'm thinking, I'm fucking dead. That's it. I'm dead or crippled. Somehow, I get the son of a bitch to stop. I by the grace of God, I pulled it.
Buy him a beer or something?
I don't know. Yeah. You know, and from that moment on, I knew how to ride a horse. And I had complete respect for horses. It was that, like, up until then, I could ride. But after that, I could ride anything.
Sounds like that horse broke you.
Yeah, the horse showed me, you know, there's a reason you stay away from stuff that's 1,500 pounds, all muscle. You know, you don't want to.
I don't like horses.
They're great, but you know why a horse succumbs?
He just likes to bet on them.
You know why horses succumb to, like, let men ride them and stuff? They have an eye that's split, and they see us as really big. They don't see things the same way we do, so we look really, really big to them, and they're afraid of us. That's a fact.
I've been on two, and they weren't afraid of me.
Well, but that's because, you know, they didn't get a chance.
They didn't like you. They didn't like your energy.
Well, you know.
So mid-20s, you're living on a ranch.
Yeah.
You're recording with this band.
But you've signed a record deal, but your only mode of transportation is...
was the horse.
That sounds...
Yeah.
So you don't get any money unless it sells?
Well, I mean, we were getting a stipend, and they were paying all of our expenses and things like that, and it was fun, you know what I mean? And we released a record. It was a double album, the first, you know, a debut album for an unknown band, a double album, unheard of, okay? And it was really tastefully done, the pictures and stuff like that. I mean, he pulled out all the stops. The record was anything but commercial. I mean, it was completely non-commercial, so it never did shit. And then we made a second album that didn't do shit, and then the band kind of fizzled out, and there was a guitar player that was living up there. His name was Jimmy Vincent, and he was a guy from Chicago who was, at the time, arguably maybe the best guitar player in the world. I mean, like a frightening like monster. Like, oh my God, is it just pure chops, do any fucking thing he wanted. So he was moving to San Francisco. He had just done a record up there, and he was moving to San Francisco, and I was just sick and tired of the whole thing. It just got to me for 3 years. I was up there for almost 3 years. Couldn't take it anymore. And so I went to San Francisco, and then I ended up playing in a band with Jimmy, and that lasted about 1.5 years. The thing was that I was really in over my head with these guys. Like, the musicians that he had, I mean, they made our guys look like paraplegics. I mean, like, serious.
They made them look like us.
Serious readers. You know what I mean? Like, real scientific. It's like, fucking, oh my God. You know what I mean? So it was like, I hung in there. And then I just realized I couldn't do it. I couldn't hang.
But with those bands, are you touring as well?
No, that band
really?
wasn't a touring band. No, but
Madura
toured.
The Maduras.
We opened for Chicago. We were the first band to open for Chicago ever.
So if you were in that band 66, so you're 72-ish.
Yeah, that's right.
73-ish maybe?
Yeah, something like that. And we opened for them, and we were, the one thing about Madura, we were fucking live. You don't want to follow us. We were amazing live. Like people were like, what the fuck? 3 people up there doing this? People were just like lost their fucking mind. The guys in Chicago, Peter Cetera said, well, you know, fuck, man, we can't follow you. I mean, I go, what? You're Chicago? Because but I just saw what you did. I mean, you just sap the energy out of the room. I mean, you know, fucking people are like,
yeah, they want you to be good, but not that fucking.
Not that good, not that good. But because it was Jimmy, and because we grew up together, the Chicago guys and myself, I ended up writing a bunch of stuff with them and working with them. And every night, the nice part about it was every night, on I'm a Man and 25 or 6 to 4. I would jam. I would go out and jam with Chicago, and I'd play Hammond organ, and Bobby Lamb would come over, switch over to play Fender Rhodes, and then and of course there was the drugs. That oh Christ, that was the cocaine. The amount of cocaine we did was, I shouldn't even be around. I mean, I should be dead. Seriously, big dead. I mean, literally. So Chicago, one of the tours, they had like a Chicago street scene. You know what I mean? With a fucking park bench, and you know what I mean, and a fucking a telephone booth, and the light post, and blah 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 blah. So in the telephone booth, they painted out all the windows, and in the telephone booth was like a bowl of cocaine and a fifth of Jack Daniels, right? So when Danny would be doing a drum solo, right, which he'd take 15, 20 minutes, we'd all be standing at the thing to go in and get a bump and a thing, and we called it the Snortatorium.
You work for Superman, so
yeah, I'll tell you, man.
So you're mid-20s, touring with Chicago, opening with this band that's badass.
Badass live. We fucking kicked
and then
ass.
you're just like, hey, this ain't working.
Well,
I'm not gonna make it.
No. I mean, look, when we played live, it was fun. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. But then, the touring stopped, and we were up there at sequestered, and we called it the ward. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you got to go back to the ward, because we didn't have any life, other than, just
play music,
and you know what I mean, or go down to Arts Bar and Grill and get drunk, or take the
phone
horses.
booth or something.
Huh?
You gotta hit the phone booth.
Well, the phone booth was no longer around. We got our we got our shit from some dealer down in Boulder, because this was Nederland, Colorado, at the like up valley, and so I went to San Francisco with Vince, and we started this band. We formed this band, and it was fun. It was a great experience. I was like, again, in over my head, and I just didn't see it going anywhere either. You know what I mean? So I went down to California. I got a car, a '64 Ford Fairlane Blue. I paid $100 for it or something like that. I actually rode good. I mean, shit, it drove really good. It was it looked like a total piece of shit, but
probably cheaper than a horse.
It drove good. So I went down there, and I was living in some goofy apartment, trying to. Now I'm thinking, I got the timeline wrong. And anyway, at any rate, so I ended up getting a job. I got offered a job with Minnie Riperton, Lovin' You. She had she had this 5-octave range. She was Maya Rudolph's mother. From Saturday Night Live, Dick Rudolph was her husband, and they had the band, Minnie Riperton Band, and I played in that band for 2 years, and we toured, and then.
So is this more like the L.A. scene at this time? Yeah. San Fran down to L.A.
Yeah, that's right.
You're starting to get.
The Minnie Riperton was a big deal. I mean, she was a big deal. I mean, she was on President Carter's cancer thing, and she ended up. We were on retainer, right? So when we didn't work, we were making money. When we worked, we were making money. So it was like life was good, right? And one day I get a call from the manager, Jack Kelman, and he says, "We got to take you guys off retainer." And what's going on? Well, Minnie's sick. What's wrong with her? Can't say. So she ended up having breast cancer. She died of breast cancer. So the day I got called, the day Jack Kelman calls me, this guy, Kevin Murphy, who was in Rufus and Chaka Khan, they had won the Grammy. They were huge. You know what I mean? Tell me something good.
Oh, it's 1980 now,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Or
Well,
70?
No. It's still. Again, don't quote me on the dates. The dates I don't. Like again, I told you I got a problem with the dates. So anyway, he says, "What are you doing?" Because Murph was my my mentor. He played left-hand bass with these different bands before getting with Rufus and stuff, and he was the original guy with Rufus. He was the and he says, Hawk, Murph. I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" He goes, "You still what's going on with Minnie?" I said, "Well, it's funny you should ask." I said, "We just got taken off retainer." And she says, "Why? What's going on?" I said, "She's sick or something. I don't know what's going on." And he goes, "Well, you want to join Rufus?" And I said, "Fuck yeah." He said, "Well, bring down your keyboard down at SIR, Studio Instrument Rentals. Come on and jam with the guys, and we'll see what happens." You know what I mean? So I go down, set up, and start jamming, start playing stuff, and jam for about an hour. And I just get up like this, and I go, "Guys," I said, "do I got this fucking gig or not? Because if I don't, I'm going to have to go knocking at the doors of the studio and see if anybody wants a keyboard player because I need a gig." And they gave me the gig, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's where I guess, when you talk to people around you or even when I search, that it all comes back to Rufus.
Right, sure. And the thing was, when I joined it was what made it great for me was I was really into songwriting, and I really liked to write songs, and I liked production and stuff like that. And quite frankly, these guys were lazy, right? So I basically took over the fucking band in like 6 months. It was my band.
So I was going to ask you that. Like, when did you start writing?
Oh,
a long time before that?
I wrote 100 of the worst songs you ever heard in your life before I wrote anything good. The songs that are gone.
Right.
Gone. You know what I mean? You gotta just write, and then all of a sudden you write something that somebody goes, "Well, that's interesting," you know what I mean? And then you see what happens with it.
And I guess living here in Music City,
Sure.
it's more country songs, right? So
it is, but it isn't. But the music, Nashville it has an unfounded reputation as being, only country, and it's anything but. I mean, there's fucking unbelievable jazz bands here, R&B bands, there's salsa bands, there's like incredible bands in this town, like you can't even believe it.
But I'm just saying, myself picturing myself writing a song, it's gonna be a country song.
Well,
right?
Of course, I mean,
drinking, whatever. But how do you come up with like the riff of? You might as well go ahead and tell them what song you had a big.
Well, ain't nobody like that. Songwriting is 90% inspiration, 90% perspiration, 10% inspiration. You got to just sit and write. Right? You know what I mean? You can't be afraid. To. I had various techniques that I used to fool myself into writing something different. And I just sit down and I start playing stuff and I just mouth things like. She thought I was cool, and then it's the next thing you know, you have like a placeholder. Okay, she thought I was cool, not such a fool, whatever. You know what I mean? And you just kind of, move on for, you know what I mean? So it's like what did Paul McCartney say? The original words for yesterday was scrambled eggs. That's going to be my breakfast today, or something stupid like that. Was it? That was how he wrote yesterday. He didn't have the thing, so you just you just keep going until something comes out like you go, holy shit, that's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, and you'll know you know. And if you don't know, you play it for somebody, and you know, somebody who is a real musician, and they'll say, yeah, that's great. That isn't, you know, like when I wrote Ain't Nobody, I was working with Glenn Frey at the time as well. You know what I mean? I was doing double duty. I was playing in his solo band, the guy from the Eagles who passed away. And I sent Glenn a copy of Ain't Nobody, and he called me up and he said, Wolinski, he said, your fucking life is about to change. He goes, that fucking thing is unbelievable. It's gonna fucking change everything for you. He said, but you got to remember one thing. He said, before you wrote that, nobody knew who you were, and now they're gonna know who you are. So they're gonna be looking at you. So every subsequent thing, you don't want to get into the sophomore jinx. You know what I mean? Like, you know, in sports, the sophomore jinx. You're great as a freshman, and you go out as a sophomore and you fucking stink it up.
Yeah, the one-hit wonder, right?
The one-hit wonder. So you got to. So you know, he told me that. You know, so, you know, I never forgot that. You know, and that was one of the reasons that I taught myself how to write. Something different every time. You know, like a lot of guys, I hear a lot of very, very successful, great songwriters. In my opinion, they're writing the same song over and over again. The genre is very close together. You know, they all sound, you can tell that they're written by so-and-so, by Elton John, and those guys are brilliant songwriters. But my material, a lot of the stuff, I mean, if you ever heard all of the stuff that I wrote, you wouldn't believe one guy wrote all that stuff because it's diverse.
So much.
I had a top 10 country song with a group called Buffalo Club. You should see her now. I've written 20 country tunes. I played my stuff for Willie Nelson. He went, Jesus Christ, this is really good. I'll put my country music up against anybody's. Anybody's. I mean anybody's. It's good. And it never. This town is fucked, okay? Or it was fucked. And very nepotistic, you know what I mean? Just ripped off all the writers and stuff like that. And I met a guy by the name of Jimmy Bowen. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He basically ran this fucking town. Signed Garth Brooks, president of Capitol Records, and played golf 6 days a week. And he said Sunday was divorce maintenance. And we played the first tee time at Legends, like 7 in the morning. Okay, there was like four songs. He had all the tee times, the first four tee times in perpetuity.
Is that back when they called it the North Course?
Yeah, the North and the South. They had 2 courses, and he was. I didn't know anything about the guy, right? You know what I mean? But when I told my manager Larry Fitzgerald, I said, I've been telling people that I'm playing a lot of golf with Jimmy Bowen, and they go, oh brother, watch out for him. And fucking Larry laughed. He goes, people hate Jimmy Bowen because he taught everybody in this town how to make money. And that was, don't rip off the fucking writers and the artists. You understand? You don't need to take the publishing. You make plenty of money. You know what I mean? And we got along like a house on fire, okay? And he heard my shit. And he was the one that did that album with Adina Carter, Strawberry Wine.
Yeah.
I dated her, okay, while he was making that record. And she heard my material and she went, fuck, man, I wish I'd have met you before. I've been done half of your tunes on my record. And Bowen told me the same thing. And then he got prostate cancer and retired. And the problem was that anybody who was like close to him was ostracized because people did not like him. Because he fucking, he exposed the hypocrisy of this town. He was, and he was, I love the guy. You know what I mean? I played golf with him. I played golf with him and Willie Nelson and Herky Williams, his head of A&R at Lake Sherwood. The Tiger Jam, the Tiger thing. I played that course with Bowen. And they come out.
Chatsworth, Simi Hills, California. Yeah. Had a little stint in California.
Yeah. And they come up. Bowen and everybody, they all had goddamn shorts on, and they wouldn't let you wear shorts on this golf course. So they had to buy these ugly madras pants, which they fitted to Willie. And I rode with Willie, and I played golf with Willie, and he putted one-handed. It was so funny.
So let's circle back now. Let's circle back to the Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
But was that that one song? Was that the first good
God,
song
no.
you sang?
Oh no! I won a Grammy with a song I wrote called Hollywood with them too. So, yeah. So,
But
that was a co-write.
But you took the reins of Rufus and Shaka Khan.
Nobody was like. I mean, everybody was like sitting around like a fucking lump. I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is going on with these guys? Don't they understand the value of this shit? You know what I mean? Apparently not.
She was hot, right?
Hot in every way. I mean, she was good looking. She was finer than 600 sandpaper, man. I mean, fucking Mick Jagger fucking chased her around Europe, brother. Let me tell you. She was hot.
Yeah.
When she was, whoa. She had a body that wouldn't quit. She sang her ass off, and she played drums like John Bonham. She was a killer, an absolute killer.
So, I mean, we know you wrote "Ain't Nobody," but and you said Hollywood. What's a couple more?
Well, I mean, you know, there are things that are obscure. They're more R&B stuff that.
I'm just saying for her though.
For her, well, you know, like Street Player. God. I'd have.
Did you?
It was like 10, 15.
Hey, but just because I thought I can't remember. I thought I was gonna marry Mary J. Blige. And there was a song called "Sweet Thing" that she redid.
Well,
that
Mary J. Blige did Hollywood too.
She did?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna have to look that one up. But I thought she was gonna marry me when she sings "Whoa, Sweet Thing."
Has she ever even met you?
No, but maybe Hawk's my way there. Maybe Mary J.
He wouldn't do that to himself.
You know, Mary J. Blige.
Of course,
after that. So.
Of course, yeah.
But she covered Shaka Khan, I guess.
Well, you know, I worked. You know, Quincy Jones produced one of the Rufus albums, so I got a chance to work with him. I played on Michael Jackson records and played on Quincy's records, his own records, George Benson, Patty Austin. You know, endless shit. I did probably did about 100 sessions with Quincy. He was a very dear friend of mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So when you write a song and then it's going to be hit, how do you protect yourself from somebody like just saying it's my song?
Once you're in the business, I mean, you got managers. You register the tune. I mean, if you don't listen, I tell people if you're writing a song and you don't have a manager and you don't want to take the time to necessarily go to BMI or register or whatever, all you got to do is take the tape, and take the lyrics, put them in an envelope, and send it to yourself registered and don't open it. That's it. It's got a date. It's got a date on the thing. You're protected.
Wow.
That's as simple as that.
So tonight, you can go ahead and write one. Send it to yourself. Don't send it to me. I don't want to hear it.
At various times, he does think he can dance, and he does think he can sing.
Okay.
I'm terrible at both.
He's not. He's got the patented Fergie shuffle.
That's a Fat Boy shuffle.
Fat Boy shuffle. We call it Fergie shuffle. But.
So Shaka Khan, then.
Well, then Quincy, and then then I started to. I did a lot of soundtrack. I did a lot of underscore work with Goldie Hawn on the Wildcats movie where she played that football coach.
Mm-hmm.
That was LL Cool J was in that, and I worked with him. Produced LL Cool J.
I got a question about that one because I've heard this story and I thought people were lying to me, but they said that somebody sent him out there, this new up and coming guy, and he likes a couple of things that they said he liked. Cocaine and women, and
pot.
Oh, it's pot and women. Yeah. All right, so I knew I was.
And then he wanted me to. He was like 16.
And you were like, "What the hell you want me to do?"
I had a Porsche convertible, and so he went to come on, let's go down and pick up some broads. You know what I mean? I said, I'll take you for a fucking ride, and we're gonna pick up any broads. We're gonna put him in the fucking. We got the 2-seater for Christ's sake. He was a great kid though, really, really great.
He's done well.
Yeah, he's done really well, and he was very bright back then. You could tell that he was going to make it. That was at the beginning when rap was iffy.
Oh yeah.
Like
that could have been late 80s.
It's gonna
late 80s, early 90s.
He was early 80s.
Yeah.
He was early 80s.
Something like that.
Bad album was had to be like 86.
Again, I got I'd have to go look it up. You know what I mean, I can't. Don't quote me on the dates. So
when they give, let's just say that. I mean, I like to use LL Cool J because I'm a LL Cool J fan.
Yeah.
So they say, "Hey, Hawk, here's your kid."
Mm-hmm.
Do you start trying to make some notes?
Well, he
or-
wanted to write it. They wanted him to write an opening theme for the song, like and opening rap for
Right.
for the
movie.
and he did. But what I did was because I knew a bunch of guys from Chicago, a bunch of guys from the Bears, and I called up Doug Buffone, and I got him on the phone, the linebacker for the Bears, right? And I got him on the phone, and I said, "Hey, Doug, I got this kid. We're doing this movie." And he wants to know about, the history of football. So he was on the phone with him for like an hour and a half, and he wrote all this shit down. And then he made up a rap. And he used Bronco Nagurski and Night Train Lane and all these the old timers. Do you remember the names like Bronco Nagurski and Night Train Lane? I mean, it's like fucking cool, man. You know what I mean? It's the sport of kings. He said, it's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings. He didn't realize that the sport of kings is horse racing.
Right.
Okay? But he was a 16-year-old kid, and he had heard the term. So he used it. I didn't want to correct him because it was kind of cool, actually. It's the sport of kings. I mean, okay, who am I to correct this kid, right?
Who are you to say it was?
Yeah, and it was fun. It was fun.
But they say, hey, here's this kid. You're now you're doing opening music for movies, right?
Yeah.
You're doing anything.
I'm doing an
now.
underscore. I'm doing an underscore, writing the tunes. They bring him out, and I'm working with him. You got Woody Harrelson was in the movie. It was his first film. Wesley Snipes was his first film. And we had to get those guys to rap at the end of the movie. And oddly enough, Wesley Snipes had no rhythm at all, the black guy, right? No rhythm. And Woody Harrelson was fucking getting down with it. It was like, oh my God, it was just fuck. I still remember all of those fuckers in the studio, and I'm directing them. Okay, Wesley, go.
Huh. But you don't help on those rap albums. You just did the movie and then kind of.
No. I mean, not on a rap album. I mean, on that song.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He
Yeah.
recorded it at my house.
I just wonder.
He recorded it at my house.
Because he had a pretty good career.
Well, he had a tremendous career. He had a hit record then, right? He was coming up, and that's why we got him, right?
Yeah,
Because he
that's
was
awesome.
LL Cool J, and everybody knew who he was, this young kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, So then I was in a couple films, acting, and scored. I was in that film Men at Work with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez. I got to know Charlie really well, almost too well.
He liked to party.
Oh no, not at all.
You talk about somebody that should have died on.
Oh my
ingesting
God! Did you see that?
cocaine.
Did you see that? That
I haven't
documentary?
watched that one yet.
It's pretty scary. Because I was around.
I heard him say like 3 8 balls in a day was.
Oh,
not a
I
big
was
deal.
around. I listen.
It's
I
not a
was.
big deal.
I was around with Nick Cage and those guys. So I'm over at his house, and it's like, and it's, now Charlie's got a house that's like 20,000 square feet, one bedroom. I'm not kidding. Like a fucking 20-car garage, a shooting gallery, a range with machine guns and fucking, you name it, he had it in there. And a memorabilia room. He's a really good athlete, and he had the Mookie ball and fucking Babe Ruth's glove when he whatever, and had all this, and it was gigantic. It was twice as big as that room out there. So we're over there, and it's Nick Cage, myself, this guy Carrie Elways. I can't remember, and it's like oh boy, we're getting really high, and it's like 5 or 6 in the morning, and fucking. And so Nick goes, "Let's go to fucking Vegas." Oh yeah, that's a great idea. You know what I mean? And so
We've had those.
they
nights.
charter a jet.
Well, we didn't do that.
They charter a jet, and they're there for a week. I did not go. I said, "No, guys, I got."
How the hell did you not go?
Huh?
How did you not go?
How did I? Because I wanted to live. Are you fucking nuts?
Well, they're-
I was a
Technically,
little
they're
bit older than those guys. You understand? And I had, I knew what cocaine did. Those fuckers didn't really get it.
Just
You know what I mean?
gave
They
them good
were
ideas.
they were just getting in. They were like freshmen. Okay, I had graduated with honors. You know what I mean?
Not full. You were in graduate school.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, and I went, and I thought to myself, there's no fucking, and then of course they all came back and they had fucking tattoos that they all got, so what, now that would have been fucking,
You're glad you missed that trip.
oh, Christ. I am so glad I missed that trip.
So now we're go back to LL Cool J, and then are you said you did some country stuff, but like what
I moved here. I moved here because what happened was like after we had an earthquake, 92 something like that.
I was there.
Yeah, okay.
Earthquake, riots. I was there.
Yeah,
Is that the one during the World Series?
and then something
No, that was
happened
in San
with
Francisco,
something happened with my music with R&B, right? And it got there was some producers that came up, some black producers, I can't remember their names, but they were down, like they were convincing people not to use white producers. You know what I mean? They Nelson George was a great journalist, written a lot of books about R&B. He wrote columns for Billboard, and he flew out for New York once. He had a column called "The Rhythm and the Blues," which was all blurbs like, "Oh, Quincy's recording with Michael Jackson, Rufus is recording with the whatever, blah 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 blah," the little blurbs, right? He flew out, and he wanted to do the entire column about me. And he called me the White Quincy Jones. So, so when something happened where it was like the whole tenor of R&B changed. It was like reverse racism. And then, I remembered having worked with Glenn, like for years. And I remember we were recording at Muscle Shoals, and he said to me, "We're going to go see George Jones." I said, "I don't want to see that fucking hillbilly. What are you, out of your fucking mind? I hate that fucking shit." And he goes, "You're going." And I go, "All right, fuck it," right? So I go, we're sitting in the front row. It's not a big venue. George starts singing, and he's a blues singer. I turn to Glenn, I go, "The fucking guy's a blues singer. That's my shit, right?" He goes, "I know. That's what I brought you here." And that changed my whole view of country music. And from that moment on, I fell in love with it. It's like I started to do my homework, you know what I mean, about Hank Williams. That motherfucker. You start to listen to that shit. Patty.
Patty Loveless.
No, not Patty Loveless. Patty. Well, I heard too, but Patty. Shoot,
Tillis.
No,
Patty.
That's Pam
Tillis.
No, not Pam Tillis.
Patty.
Crazy for being lonely. You remember that? Patty. Anyway, whatever. So my manager, who was Vince Gill's manager at the time, who had an office in Thousand Oaks, up in up north, so, between LA and Santa Barbara. They opened up an office in Nashville, right? So Larry went to Nashville. Mark stayed. It was Fitzgerald Hartley. Mark stayed in California, and so Larry took on Vince Gill, right? And Vince was the guy who sponsored me at the golf club of Tennessee, and I had this. I started to write some country tunes in L.A. You know what I mean? I went, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm done with this shit. This fucking. Too much blow, too much partying. I mean, the fucking can't. They don't like me because I'm white. But I'm an R&B guy. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to fucking Nashville, and I went to Nashville. I came to Nashville, '93.
Yeah. So, you had the earthquakes, and then you had the Rodney King trial.
Oh yeah.
And then when he's talking about like Michael Jackson was and then you had all those like Jodeci's and all those. Mm-hmm. R&B bands, Guy, and all those guys were really taking over. Luther Vandross to
but that was before. There was a period with Bobby Brown and there was a couple of other guys, and right in that period of time is when there was this big backlash for white producers against white producers doing R&B. You know what I mean? And I said, well, fuck that shit. I mean, you don't want me? Good. Go get somebody else. Get somebody better than me. Try to find somebody better than me, because I was good. I knew how to make records. People knew that too.
It's obvious.
Oh, I can make records. I can make a
you've done a
record.
pretty good job.
Yeah, I got fucking great ears. Period. Put my ears up against anybody's.
Yeah, I like I said, I did my homework last night, and you definitely have collaborated and done some just amazing
well,
stuff.
thank you,
man.
thank you.
It's
been a wild ride. Now, like I'm just farting around. I play piano every day. I hit balls every day on my simulator. I'm into astrophotography. You probably knew that, right?
Yeah, I know you. Well, I haven't been to your house, but they say you got a
I've got
pretty
I've
good-
got an observatory there. I've got one in St. George, Utah, at a remote site, and 2 in New South Wales, Australia. I control them all from my house, from my computer.
I was in St. George not long. Well, I actually went through there. I went to Zion.
Beautiful.
Went to Zion.
Zion, oh, that's Jesus. It's unbelievable.
St. George is a gorgeous
Gorgeous town.
Yep.
Gorgeous town. They've got this remote observatory site in the middle of like nowhere. I mean, I'm talking about like nothing, for 4 miles, like just flat nothing, like tarantulas and whatever the hell they are, and so it's what they call Bortle 1 sky, the darkest sky. Like it's when the Milky Way is up there and there's no moon and it causes a shadow. So that's
Pretty crazy.
real dark.
That'd be interesting to go over there and just see that.
It's to blow your mind. You just look up and go, holy shit.
Wow.
It's like, wow, there it is.
I want to go over there and stand on the rocks. Ricky said that never get over 75 degrees or whatever the stones you have out there.
Sure.
Because Ricky said he wasn't going to get on it. And you said, hey, Ricky, go out there. It was like 100 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, go and lay down on that. And Ricky goes, hell no, I ain't going to do that. But some kind of stone you got from Italy.
There's all kinds of legends out there. I mean, that's Indian shit. You know what I mean? That's some fucking.
Well, it's Ricky,
Yeah, but I'm reading a book called The Undiscovered Country, which is basically the history. It starts before the Revolutionary War, and it's all about how we moved from the East to the West. It's Jim Bowie, Davy Crockett, Kit Carson, all of these guys, Sam Houston. It is fucking like, oh my. You read this book and you go, how in the fuck did we end up getting here? How did we end up even being alive? I mean, like even having a country. When you read how absolutely goofy it was, crazy sons of bitches killing each other, fucking like scalping each other, white guys scalping Indians, Indians scalping white guys, like fucking like just the cruelest, most craziest shit. And we end up
Here we are.
pretty fucking good.
Here we are.
Best country in the goddamn world.
There you go. Getting a beer and talk about it on
Yes, sir.
on a Monday afternoon, or Tuesday afternoon.
Yes, sir.
So, Hawk, man, been awesome.
Thank you,
And
man.
listen,
Thank you.
I hope everybody loves your story like I do,
Well-
because man, it was awesome. I mean, I just like hearing it. I hope I hear more.
Well,
now
there's
that
all the little anecdotal shit, hanging out, and meeting certain celebrities, and what that was like. And one day we'll maybe do it again.
yeah, we'll do it again.
We'll get Jerry here.
Yeah.
Jerry's got Christ, he'll give you the Beatles stories. He worked for George Harrison. Forget about it.
So
Yeah,
Jerry's a friend of his, and I asked him to come today. He was busy, but they've been friends since they were 4, I think.
Well,
is,
6.
6.
Yeah, 6, yeah, something like
And
that.
so they got a bunch of bantering back and forth, and it'd be really neat.
6th grade, actually.
But hey, Hawk,
All right.
awesome,
All right,
man.
boys.
Thank you.
Thank you.